How you going? I'm Johnny from Poor Choice Home Brewing. And what we have here is some washed US05 safe ale. Now yes, you can totally wash yeast. It's usually not recommended for dry yeast, but it seemed like a poor choice, and that's what I am all about. So let's watch me making this beer, hey? As usual, starting off with some fresh water, filtered, and heated up to 72 degrees with the Inkbird. Now, I noticed that this had a lot of grain in it, about just under 6.5 kilos. That's why I drained a bit of water out of it first, then I added the grain. It actually came in 2 bags. And with the water I took out of there, I added it back into the mash. Wrapped her up and left her for an hour. And I had a little theory, and that was before I remove the grains, I remove 5-10 litres of water into a bucket. That'll suck all the sugars, move all the sugars down to the bottom of the bucket, and this will just push the sugars out basically. And cranked her up to 100 and a bit of sparging with some 80-degree water from the kettle. And I always try to save as much of the sweet word as I can. That is the rolling boil we were looking for. So at 98.8 and at 12.45, the first edition of hops, which is 22 grams of Mosaic. Now that I look at, I might cover this up to keep the heat in. 25 edition, and an edition of 27 grams this time. And a Whirlpool edition. The gravity reading, not quite as crazy. The target was 1.066 and this one came out at 1.052. And that was 3 sachets of US05. This was 24 hours later. We can see that the washed yeast is going crazy. And the US05 is just going. It's all good. Now, 3 days later, took her out of the fridge, sanitized everything, and added 100 grams of dry hops between them. I used approximate mathematics, not exact mathematics. Fair enough then. Okay, so differences. When we used the washed US05, it started fermenting a bit quicker, started bubbling, but it slowed down quicker. The US05 started a little bit slower, but was fermenting for quite a few days. The final gravity for the fresh yeast came out at 1.011, giving us an alcohol content of 5.38%. And the washed yeast, it came out at 1.014, giving us an alcohol content of 4.99. And here are both of them, the washed yeast and the fresh. The fresh looks just a little bit lighter in colour. I think I saw a few sediments in the washed yeast, so at the moment it's looking better this way, but the only real way to do it is the taste test, the smell and everything. You know what, when it comes down to flavour, these two are really indistinguishable. They're really, I don't know how to put it, there's nothing really different about them. Flies seem to like both of them, which isn't really what I'm going for, and I don't really care. You know what, the washed yeast is a little less bitter. Yeah, that's about the only difference. In taste anyway. So I suppose the big question is it worth washing the yeast? At the end of the day, these are $6 from your local home brew shop. I put 3 of them into this one, and would have been 2 when I washed it from the bread yeast ale. No bread yeast, just the US05. So yeah, on the second time, there isn't really a noticeable difference. I can't taste any of, like here sometimes I'll leave a hoppy flavour, and I really can't taste it in that. But if you need my opinion, basically these are $6, and it depends on how much of a penny pincher you are. You're going to get the higher alcohol, the clearer beer, the slightly better flavour from the US05. So yeah, look, if you want to make one of these beers yourself, I'm going to post a recipe in the description. It is a pretty simple recipe of 6.2 kilos of pale malt, 0.25 kilos of Carapils, and about 180 grams of Mosaic. Now, if you want to go to your local home brew shop, you can totally get all that. They're totally going to do a good job. I got my hops from a guy called Mate Straight's Home Brew Supply. I'll leave his Facebook page in the description. Follow through him. He ships Australia wide. Does a pretty good deal. I'm gonna get wrecked if I keep trying to find the difference between these two. They're too bloody similar. So I'll leave it at that. I'm Johnny from Poor Choice Home Brewing. If you like this video, please click like. If you want to find out when more videos are coming, please click subscribe and ring the bell. If you have any good ideas for a bad choice that you want to see made in a video, leave a comment. But until then, I'm Johnny, and sometimes you just learn more from poor choices. Catch ya.